The cracks in the wall. When Mark moved into his new apartment, it seemed perfect, affordable, quiet, and just a short walk from work. The landlord had mentioned that the building was old, but Mark didn't mind. He liked the charm of the high ceilings and creaky wooden floors. The first night as he unpacked, he noticed a small crack in the wall near the kitchen. It was thin and jagged, running vertically from floor to ceiling. Strange, he thought, but harmless. By the second night, the crack had grown wider. Mark frowned as he stared at it. The edges of the crack looked darker now, almost as if something was moving inside it. He decided he'd call the landlord in the morning to report it. But that night, something woke him. At first, he thought it was just the wind. But as he lay in bed, the sound grew louder. Soft, scratching noises, as if tiny claws were scraping against wood. Mark sat up, heart pounding. The noise was coming from the kitchen. He hesitated before grabbing his phone and a flashlight. Edging toward the kitchen, he tried to convince himself it was just a mouse. But when he turned the flashlight on the wall, his stomach sank. The crack was wider now, gaping open like a dark wound. The edges pulsed faintly, as though the wall itself were alive. Mark stepped closer, the light trembling in his hand. The scratching stopped. "Hello," he called out, his voice barely a whisper. The darkness inside the crack seemed to shift. Mark's breath caught as he saw it. Something moved in the shadow. A long, pale finger emerged, dragging itself along the edge of the crack. He stumbled back, tripping over a chair, and scrambled to his feet. The crack widened further, and a face appeared. A hollow, distorted face with empty eyes and a twisted grin. "Let me out," it whispered. Mark bolted to his bedroom, slamming the door behind him. He pushed a dresser in front of it, his hands shaking. For hours he sat on the floor, clutching his phone, but there was no signal. Outside, the scratching began again, louder this time, accompanied by soft, eerie laughter. By morning, the sound stopped. Mark cautiously opened his bedroom door, peering into the hallway. The kitchen wall was intact. The crack was gone, as if it had never existed. Relieved but confused, he decided he couldn't stay there another night. He packed a bag and headed to work, vowing to call the landlord immediately. When he returned that evening to collect the rest of his things, the apartment was eerily silent. He stepped inside and froze. The crack was back, wider than ever. It stretched across the entire wall, the darkness inside it pulsing and writhing. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A new message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have left me." The scratching began again, louder than before. The crack split open, and Mark screamed as a pale hand shot out, dragging him toward the void. The next day, the apartment was empty. The landlord, confused, found nothing but Mark's bag near the door and a new crack in the wall, just a little wider than before. Did this story creep you out? Don't forget to like, comment, and follow for more terrifying tales. What's the strangest noise you've ever heard in your home? Let me know below. Boo.